My friends, every one of us carries two versions within ourselves. One is strong, determined, and capable of achieving greatness. The other is weak, fearful, and full of excuses. The question is, who will we feed and who will we let die? The weak version of ourselves tells us to stay in bed when we should rise early. It whispers that comfort is better than discipline. It convinces us that tomorrow is the right day to begin, while today is wasted in hesitation. But the stronger version within us says, get up, move forward, fight for your dreams. It tells us that discipline may be painful, but regret is far more painful. The weak self craves pleasure, the strong self seeks purpose. To grow, we must kill the weak version of ourselves every single day. Not once, not twice, but daily. Because weakness never completely disappears, it waits at the door of your heart, asking to be let in. Every morning you decide, do I let weakness live or do I strengthen my higher self? Killing the weak version doesn't mean hating yourself. It means letting go of fear, laziness, procrastination, self-doubt, and negativity. It means choosing growth over comfort, courage over fear, and discipline over distraction. You are not here just to survive, you are here to thrive. And the only way to thrive is to continuously conquer the weaker version of yourself. Success is not a one-time victory, it's the daily practice of silencing excuses and nurturing your stronger, wiser, more determined self. So today, make a choice. Kill that weak version of yourself. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. Inside every human being lives a silent war. It is not a war between nations or armies, but a war within the walls of our own mind and heart. On one side stands the weak version of ourselves, timid, fearful, and fragile. On the other side stands the strong version, courageous, disciplined, and powerful. Both are not strangers to us, both are us. The truth is, we do not need anyone else to defeat us because we are already our own greatest enemy and our own greatest ally. Think about it. There are days when you wake up full of energy and determination. Your strong self takes charge and says, today I will do my best, no matter how hard it gets. And then there are days when your weak self speaks louder. It says, why even try? What difference does it make? Rest a little longer. Skip that responsibility. Hide from the challenge. Both voices are real, both are inside you, and both are constantly competing for control. The weak version of yourself doesn't always appear obvious. Sometimes it disguises itself as comfort, as logic, as safety. It says, don't take the risk, you might fail. Don't speak up, people may judge you. Don't work too hard, you deserve a break. It convinces you that settling is safer than striving. But the strong version of you whispers something else. It says, yes, you may fail, but failure will teach you. Yes, people may judge you, but their judgment does not define you. Yes, it is hard work, but growth only happens when you push past comfort thought. These two versions of yourself are not temporary phases of life. They are permanent residents within you. And the one who wins depends on who you feed more often. If you keep giving attention to your weak self by listening to excuses, by giving in to fear, by postponing your goals, that weak version grows stronger. But if you constantly choose discipline, persistence, and courage, the stronger version becomes dominant. Imagine for a moment a person standing in front of two doors. One door leads to the weak self, comfort, ease, instant pleasure, no risks. The other door leads to the strong self, struggle, effort, discipline, growth. Every day you wake up, you are standing before these two doors, and every day the door you walk through decides which version of yourself becomes stronger. You don't need to make this choice once in a lifetime. You make it countless times each day, in your thoughts, in your words, in your actions. We often think that successful people are born different, that they only have a strong version within them. That's not true. They too have a weak side that whispers to them every day. The difference is that they don't let that side win. They have learned the art of starving their weak self and feeding their strong self. They understand that greatness doesn't come by eliminating weakness, but by refusing to obey it. So, the real question is not whether you have a weak version of yourself. Everyone does. The real question is, which version of you will you allow to live today? The weak self has a very clever way of surviving. It feeds on excuses. It does not need strength. It does not need courage. It does not need action. All it needs are reasons. Reasons to delay, reasons to avoid, reasons to hide. And the tragic part is, the weak self never runs out of excuses. It has an endless list ready for every situation. If you want to wake up early, it says, you slept late, you deserve some rest. If you want to exercise, it whispers, you're too tired, try tomorrow. If you want to chase your dreams, it convinces you, what's the hurry? You have plenty of time. Excuses are the food of the weak self, and comfort is its bed. Think about it. Whenever you try to step into something uncomfortable, like hard work, discipline, or responsibility, the weak self resists. It pulls you back toward the familiar, the easy, the cozy. It is happy as long as you remain safe in your comfort zone, because it knows the comfort zone is where growth dies. Comfort is like a soft pillow. It feels good in the moment, but if you spend too long resting on it, you lose your strength, your sharpness, and your hunger. But the weak self does not stop at excuses and comfort. It also feeds on procrastination. Procrastination is the silent poison of progress. The weak self tells you, not now, later. And it repeats this until days become weeks, weeks become months, and months quietly turn into years. The weak self is patient. It doesn't need you to quit your dreams in one single moment. All it needs is for you to delay them, long them enough until you lose the energy and belief to pursue them. By the time you realize what has happened, the weak self has already stolen precious years of your life. It is important to recognize that excuses, comfort, and procrastination are not small habits. They are weapons of the weak self designed to keep you stuck. Every time you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," your weak self celebrates. Every time you choose the couch over your commitment, your weak self grows stronger. Every time you justify why you can't take action, you are giving life to that weaker version of you. Imagine for a moment two wolves living inside you. One is strong, disciplined, and full of determination. The other is lazy, fearful, and addicted to excuses. Which wolf becomes stronger? The one you feed. And excuses, comfort, and procrastination are like juicy meat for the weaker wolf. It grows fat and powerful the more you give in to them. But if you deny it that food and instead feed the stronger wolf with action, discipline, and consistency, the stronger version of you begins to dominate. That is why the weak self always tempts you with the path of least resistance. It says, "Why suffer? Why struggle? Take the easy way out." But the easy way is rarely the right way. The easy way keeps you average, while the difficult path builds greatness. The weak self knows that if you ever taste the power of consistent action, its control over you will end. That is why it fights so hard with excuses, comfort, and procrastination. It's trying to survive. The truth is, if you want to grow, you must starve the weak self. Don't feed it excuses. Don't allow it to rest endlessly in comfort. And don't let it thrive on procrastination. Because every small delay, every small excuse, every small surrender to comfort is not small at all. It's a victory for the weaker version of you. The strong self inside us is not loud. It does not scream or force itself. It speaks in a steady, calm voice, almost like a whisper, yet its words carry the weight of truth. Unlike the weak self that thrives on excuses, the strong self thrives on vision and purpose. It asks you a very simple but powerful question. Why are you here? And if you pause long enough to listen, it will remind you that you are not born just to exist, but to live with meaning. Purpose is the oxygen of the strong self. Without it, the strong self cannot breathe. When you know why you are doing something, even the hardest tasks become bearable. Waking up early is not about losing sleep. It is about chasing your dreams. Studying late into the night is not about stress. It is about preparing for your future. Working tirelessly is not about exhaustion. It is about building the life you envision. The strong self teaches us that every sacrifice becomes easier when it is connected to a higher purpose. But purpose alone is not enough. The strong self insists on discipline. Discipline is the daily training ground where the stronger version of you builds its strength. Think of discipline like a muscle. It only grows when you exercise it regularly. The strong self knows that motivation may come and go, but discipline keeps you moving even when motivation fades. It whispers to you in the morning, get up, keep going, stay consistent, and though its voice may be gentle, it is unshackled in its persistence. Growth is the natural reward of listening to the strong self. Every time you choose purpose over comfort, discipline over distraction, and persistence over excuses, you grow. Growth does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it is invisible, an increase in your patience, a sharper focus, a stronger mindset. The strong self celebrates these silent victories because it knows that real growth happens internally before becomes visible externally. Imagine for a moment a tree. A weak self focuses only on the fruit. It wants quick results, visible outcomes, immediate rewards. But the strong self knows that the strength of a tree lies not in its fruits, but in its roots. And roots are built in silence, in patience, in consistency, hidden beneath the surface. The strong self pushes you to strengthen your roots through discipline and purpose, because only then will the fruits come naturally. The strong self also protects you from the illusions of shortcuts. It reminds you that growth is not instant and that anything earned too quickly often fades just as quickly. The weak self may crave speed, but the strong self values sustainability. It tells you, go slowly if you must, but never stop. Step by step, brick by brick, you are becoming stronger. The beauty of the strong self is that it doesn't just push you, it uplifts you. It doesn't operate out of fear, but out of love for the person you are becoming. It doesn't chain you down with guilt, it frees you with responsibility. And every time you choose to listen to it, you feel a quiet sense of pride. That pride is not arrogance. It is the joy of knowing that you did not give in to your weaker self. So, the strong self is not a distant version of you. It is already within you, waiting to guide you toward purpose, discipline, and growth. All it asks is that you listen, trust. Weakness is not something you conquer once and for all. It is not a battle you win today and never have to fight again. Weakness is like a shadow. It follows you everywhere, no matter how strong you become. The moment you let your guard down, it creeps back in. And this is why it must be defeated every single day. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't brush once and then never again, saying, I already cleaned them yesterday. No, because you know that neglect will bring decay. In the same way, weakness returns daily, and if you don't push back, it will slowly erode your discipline, your energy, and your dreams. The weak self is persistent. It doesn't quit after one attempt. If you defeat it today by waking up early, tomorrow it will whisper again, just this once. Stay in bed a little longer. If you ignore it when it tempts you to procrastinate, it will try again the next day, offering you an even more convincing excuse. It's not easily discouraged. It waits, it watches, and it strikes again when you are tired, stressed, or vulnerable. That's why strength is not built by winning one great battle. It is built by winning countless small battles every single day. When you choose discipline instead of laziness, courage instead of fear, action instead of delay, you are practicing victory. Each choice may seem small, but each one weakens the grip of your weaker self and strengthens the stronger version of you. Many people misunderstand success. They think successful people are free from weakness, that they somehow never feel fear, laziness, or doubt. But that is not true. Even the most disciplined individuals wake up with the same inner struggle. The difference is they fight. And they fight daily. They don't expect weakness to disappear. They expect it to return, and they prepare to defeat it again and again. Consider an athlete. No matter how skilled or experienced, they still have to train every day. Muscles don't stay strong without exercise. They weaken over time. Likewise, your mind and spirit must be trained daily, because weakness is always waiting for the chance to take over. The fight is ongoing, and those who succeed are those who accept as a part of life, not as a one-time event. There is a story of two farmers. One tended to his field every day, watering, removing weeds, and protecting his crops. The other farmer worked hard for a week and then stopped, believing his field would take care of itself. After a few weeks, the second farmer's field was full of weeds and his crops began to die. The lesson is simple. Neglect allows weakness to grow like weeds, while daily effort keeps it under control. This is why small, consistent actions matter so much. Waking up on time may not seem like a victory. Resisting the urge to procrastinate may not look like a big deal. Choosing to stay disciplined may feel ordinary. But these are the battles where strength is built. Every time you defeat weakness, no matter how small the fight, you prove to yourself that you are in control. So, weakness will never vanish. It will always be part of you. But that doesn't mean you have to live under its rule. It only has power if you allow it. The truth is, the strongest people are not those who never feel weakness. They are the ones who keep defeating it, day after day, without pause, without excuse. Discipline is never easy. It demands effort when your body wants rest, focus when your mind craves distraction, and commitment when your heart longs for comfort. Discipline often feels like a burden in the moment. Waking up before dawn when the world still sleeps, saying no to temptations when everyone else indulges, choosing to work when your friends choose leisure. These things sting. They demand a sacrifice, and sacrifice always feels like pain. But there is another kind of pain, one that runs far deeper than the temporary discomfort of discipline. That pain is regret. And while discipline hurts now, regret hurts forever. The pain of discipline is measured in moments. You may feel it when you force yourself to wake up early, when you push through one more set in the gym, when you study for an exam while others are relaxing, when you keep working late to finish what you started. But once the moment passes, you are left with growth, strength, and progress. The discomfort fades, but the results remain. Regret, on the other hand, arrives silently and stays permanently. It visits you when you look back and realize what you could have done but didn't. It whispers in your ear, you had the chance, but you wasted it. The pain of regret is heavy because it cannot be undone. You cannot go back in time to rewrite the choices you ignore. You cannot reclaim the years lost to procrastination or comfort. And unlike the pain of discipline, which sharpens you, regret only weakens you. Imagine two students preparing for an exam. One chooses discipline, sleepless nights, long hours of study, endless revision. It hurts in the moment, but when the results arrive, that student tastes the sweetness of success. The other student listens to the weaker self, choosing comfort, distractions, and postponement. At the time, it feels easier, even joyful. But on the day of results, that student tastes the bitterness of regret. The pain is heavier than any sleepless night could ever be. Or think about health. The pain of discipline is saying no to junk food, exercising regularly, controlling your habits. It may feel like a struggle, but it leads to energy and vitality. The pain of regret comes when years later your body fails you, not because of age, but because of neglect. That regret stings because you realize you traded short-term comfort for long-term suffering. Every successful person understands this truth. You must choose your pain. There is no life without pain. Either you suffer the temporary pain of discipline or you suffer the lifelong pain of regret. One makes you, the other breaks you. One lifts you higher, the other pulls you down. One gives you pride, the other gives you shame. Discipline hurts when you practice it, but it heals you in the future. And regret feels easy in the moment, but it destroys you later. That is why the strong self always pushes you toward discipline. It reminds you, Wes, this is hard, but it is temporary. And when it's over, you will be proud. The weak self, however, convinces you to escape discipline, promising relief now, but hiding the pain that comes later. So the choice is simple. Short-term pain or lifelong pain, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. One lasts for minutes, the other for years. And when you look back on your life, you will never wish you had chosen more comfort. You will wish you had chosen more discipline. Killing the weak version of yourself is not about fighting an external enemy. It is about recognizing the inner voices that hold you back and refusing to let them rule your life. The weak self survives through fear, laziness, and doubt. 3 silent chains that bind a person and stop them from moving forward. To grow into your strongest self, these chains must be broken one by one. Fear is the first and most powerful chain. Fear makes you imagine failure even before you try. It whispers, what if you are not good enough? What if people laugh at you? What if you fall? Fear thrives in the unknown, and because of it, so many people never take the first step toward their dreams. But what is fear really? Most of the time, it is nothing more than an illusion, an image created in your mind of things that may never even happen. The strong self knows this. It understands that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. When you kill the weak self, you stop allowing fear to control your choices, and you begin to see fear as an opportunity to grow. The second chain is laziness. Laziness convinces you that tomorrow is always available, that effort can be postponed, that comfort is more important than progress. It makes you trade hours of your life for meaningless ease, only to realize later that the price you paid was your own potential. Laziness is dangerous because it doesn't feel harmful in the moment. In fact, it feels pleasant. But over time, it steals your discipline, your goals, and your self-respect. To kill the weak self, you must starve laziness. You must choose action even when you don't feel like it, because action creates momentum, and momentum builds strength. The strong self thrives on motion. The weak self thrives on stillness. The third chain is doubt. Doubt is the quiet voice that says, you cannot. It doesn't scream, it whispers. And often, it hides itself under the mask of logic or caution. Doubt makes you underestimate your ability. It convinces you that success belongs to others, but not to you. If you listen to it long enough, you begin to shrink your dreams to fit your doubts instead of expanding your efforts to match your dreams. The strong self, however, knows that doubt can only survive where there is inaction. Once you start moving, once you begin trying, once you take even small steps, doubt begins to lose its power. Progress silences doubt more effectively than anything else. Killing the weak self means consciously letting go of these three chains. It means telling fear, you will not stop me. It means telling laziness, I will not waste my life in comfort. It means telling doubt, I will prove you wrong through action. This is not a one-time declaration, but a daily practice. Each time you face fear and act, each time you reject laziness and move, each time you silence doubt with effort, you weaken the weak self and strengthen the strong one. In the end, the weak version of you cannot survive if it is starved of fear, laziness, and doubt. Remove these three, and it has nothing to feed on. And the strong self, fueled by courage, discipline, and belief, will naturally rise to take its place. Strength is not something you are born with in full measure. It is not a gift that falls into your lap one morning. Strength is built day after day in the small moments where you choose courage instead of fear. Every time you face fear and move forward anyway, you are not only defeating fear, you are growing stronger. Fear is natural. It is part of being human. Fear warns you of danger, but it also tries to protect you from growth by exaggerating risks. It says, don't speak, people will judge you. It says, don't try, you will fail. It says, don't move, it's safer here. The weak self listens to these whispers and retreats, but the strong self feels the fear, acknowledges it, and then chooses courage. And in that choice, strength is born. Think of a child learning to walk. At first, the child is filled with uncertainty. Every step is wobbly, every attempt is full of falls. Fear could easily stop that child. What if I get hurt again? What if I never succeed? But the child chooses courage, fall after fall, attempt after attempt. And with each courageous step, the legs grow stronger, the balance improves, and eventually walking becomes natural. The strength of walking came not from avoiding the falls, but from repeatedly choosing courage despite the fear of falling. This same truth applies throughout life. The first time you speak in public, fear shakes your voice. But if you choose courage, your confidence grows. The first time you chase a dream, fear tells you that failure is near. But if you choose courage, you gain experience, resilience, and wisdom. The first time you take responsibility, fear reminds you of the weight of mistakes. But if you choose courage, you discover abilities you never knew you had. Strength is like a muscle. Every time you choose courage over fear, you are exercising that muscle. At first, it feels heavy, almost unbearable. But with each repetition, the muscle becomes stronger, and what once seemed impossible begins to feel natural. Fear doesn't vanish, but your ability to overcome it grows. And soon, the fears that once paralyzed you as you become stepping stones toward greater strength. History is full of examples of ordinary people who became extraordinary simply because they chose courage repeatedly. Great leaders, inventors, and visionaries all felt fear. They were not immune to it. What made them great was their ability to act in spite of it. Every act of courage added to their strength until eventually their legacy was built not on the absence of fear, but on their triumph over it. The beauty of courage is that it doesn't need to be grand. It doesn't always mean fighting battles or facing dangers. Sometimes courage is as simple as being honest, standing up for what is right, taking the first step toward a dream, or admitting you made a mistake. These small acts of courage, when repeated, create immense strength over time. So, strength is not built in a single dramatic moment. It is built through countless small choices. Each time you silence fear with courage, you are adding one more brick to the foundation of your strength. And eventually, you look back and realize that the fears once controlled you no longer hold power because your strength has outgrown them. And progress in life is never the result of excuses. It is always the result of action. Excuses may sound intelligent, they may feel comforting, but they build nothing. Action, on the other hand, may feel difficult, risky, and even painful, but it creates growth, change, and progress. If we are honest with ourselves, every great achievement in history, every success story, every personal transformation came from one thing. Someone chose action over excuses. Excuses are easy because they require no effort. They allow you to stay in the same place without guilt for a while. I'm too tired. I don't have time. I'll start tomorrow. They sound reasonable. And the weak self loves them because they remove responsibility. But excuses are like quicksand. The more you sink into them, the harder it becomes to move. You remain stuck while time keeps moving forward. Life does not pause for your excuses. The days, months, and years continue to pass. And when you look back, you realize that excuses stole your progress. Action, however, is different. Action may be uncomfortable, but it shifts you forward, even if only by one small step. The strong self thrives on action because every action, no matter how small, breaks the chains of stagnation. You may not finish everything today, but the fact that you started means you are further ahead than yesterday. And progress builds momentum. The more you act, the more you grow confident in your ability to act again. Think of a person wanting to learn a new skill. The weak self says, I don't have the resources. I don't have the time, I might fail. And so nothing happens. Months pass, and they remain in the same place. Another person, however, decides to act. They take one small step, watching a video, practicing for 10 minutes, reading one page. At first, the action seems tiny compared to the goal, but with each step, progress compounds. Weeks later, and they are better. Months later, they are competent. And years later, they are an expert. The difference between the two people is not talent, intelligence, or luck. It is simply that one embraced action and the other embraced excuses. Excuses also have a way of disguising themselves as wisdom. It's not the right time. I should wait until everything is perfect. But the truth is, conditions are never perfect. If you wait for the perfect moment, you will wait forever. Action is what makes moments perfect, not the other way around. The strong self understands this truth and pushes you to begin, even in imperfection. Because progress does not require perfection, it requires movement. Every time you silence an excuse and take action, you are teaching yourself a powerful lesson. I am capable of more than I thought. That lesson becomes the foundation of confidence. And with confidence, you begin to embrace even bigger actions, leading to even greater progress. On the other hand, every time you choose an excuse, you reinforce weakness, teaching yourself that you are not capable, and over time, you start believing it. So, the secret to progress is not in waiting, not in explaining, not in excusing, it is in acting. Even the smallest step forward is better than standing still with the best excuse. in the world. Because at the end of the day, excuses don't build your life, action does. Most people see success as a moment, a finish line, a trophy, a single achievement that defines greatness. But the truth is, success is not one big moment. It is the result of countless small victories in the daily battle against weakness. It is not something you stumble upon suddenly. It is something you build brick by brick, choice by choice, day after day. Every morning you wake up, the battle begins. On one side is weakness, offering excuses, tempting you with comfort, urging you to delay. On the other side is strength, whispering discipline, reminding you of your purpose, encouraging you to act. Success is not about never hearing the voice of weakness. It is about refusing to obey it and instead choosing the path of strength again and again. Think of a soldier at war. Victory is not achieved in a single fight. It is won through consistency, endurance, and resilience in many battles. The same is true for personal success. You do not become successful because of one bold act, but because of thousands of small decisions. Choosing to wake up early, choosing to stay focused, choosing to keep working even when you feel tired. Each decision is a battle, and each victory brings you closer to your goal. The danger comes when people believe success is a destination. They achieve something once and they relax, thinking the battle is over. But weakness does not retire, it returns, even stronger, trying to reclaim control. That is why so many who achieve temporary success lose it. They stop fighting daily, and weakness quietly creeps back in. True success is maintained only by those who understand that the fight never ends. Look at athletes. Winning one championship doesn't guarantee future victories. They must train daily, discipline themselves, and battle laziness every single day to remain at the top. Or look at leaders. One great decision doesn't make them successful forever. They must continue to learn, adapt, and grow. The weak self waits for them to stop because the moment they do, decline begins. Success, then, is not a moment of applause. It is a lifestyle. It is built in the small, unseen choices. The times when no one is watching, the moments when giving up would be easier, the nights when you choose discipline instead of distraction. These are the places where success is born long before the world recognizes it. And the beauty of this daily battle is that it transforms you. Each time you defeat weakness, you grow stronger, not just in your actions, but in your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who does. That identity shift is powerful because it creates momentum. The stronger your self-image becomes, the more naturally you win the battles, and the closer you move toward lasting success. So, the success is not about one glorious moment. It is about persistence. It is about waking up every day prepared to fight weakness and ready to choose strength. It is about understanding that progress doesn't come from one great victory, but from countless small victories accumulated over time. And those who win this battle daily will one day look back and realize that what the world calls success was nothing more than they're consistent to win, they're consistent to let weakness win. Growth is never an accident. It does not arrive suddenly like rain falling from the sky. Growth is a decision, and more importantly, it is a decision that must be made today. The weak self always whispers about tomorrow. I'll start later. I'll change when I'm ready. I'll begin when the time is right. But the truth is, tomorrow is not promised, and the perfect time never comes. The only moment we ever truly have is today. Think about how often people delay their own progress. They say, I'll start eating healthy next week. I'll begin working on my dreams next month. I'll take care of my responsibilities once things settle down. But life rarely settles down. There will always be distractions, responsibilities, and reasons to wait. If you do not choose growth today, tomorrow will look exactly like today, and so will the weeks and years that follow. Growth is like planting a seed. The longer you delay planting it, the longer it takes for the tree to grow. Every day you postpone action is a day lost, a day you cannot get back. And one day, you may look back and realize the only thing that stood between you and the life you wanted was the decision to start. The weak self convinces you that waiting is harmless, but in truth, waiting is the greatest thief of potential. The strong self understands urgency. It knows that today matters because today shapes tomorrow. Small decisions today, reading one page, making one effort, taking one step, create momentum that multiplies over time. The strong self is not obsessed with giant leaps. It values consistent steps, starting now. That is how growth is built, not through massive, sudden change, but through steady choices that begin today and continue daily. Imagine two people standing at the base of a mountain. One says, I will start climbing tomorrow when I feel ready. The other says, I may not be fully ready, but I'll take one step today. Days pass, then weeks. The first person is still waiting for the perfect time. The second person, by taking small steps every day, is now halfway up the mountain. The difference is not talent, luck, or opportunity. It is simply that one acted today while the other kept waiting for tomorrow. Growth always favors action over delay. Even mistakes made today are better than the perfection postponed until tomorrow. Mistakes teach you, shape you, and move you forward. Waiting teaches you nothing. You do not grow by thinking about growth. You grow by acting, by failing, by learning, by improving. And all of this can only begin when you make the choice now, not later. There is also a hidden power in deciding today. It builds confidence. When you act immediately, you prove to yourself that you are capable. You silence the weak self self that thrives on procrastination. And with every small action you take today, you strengthen the identity of someone who moves, not someone who waits. That identity is the foundation of long-term growth. So the choice is always in front of you. You can choose to delay, to wait for the right moment, to believe the lies of tomorrow, or you can choose to act now, to begin with whatever you have, to take one step today, because growth will never arrive on its own. It must be chosen. And the only time you can truly choose is this very moment